book review. Okay, so ignore the squeaky chair and everything because I've been thinking about because this is like pretty much 40% of my personality of everything. So you're either a Hunger Games person or a Divergent person or a Twilight person, or you found something better that's actually good. Okay, so I tried to read some Twilights. They were so boring. They were just like not working out for me, and I hadn't seen any of the movies, and they all look really cringy, and it's really bad. And I'm gonna make a lot of people upset because my sister was a super big Twilight person, but I couldn't get into it, and I had no idea what was going on, and it was just really weird and confusing. And I watched the Hunger Games movies. I seen the first one, and then I read all the books, and it got to me because I'm so sensitive. I'm so freaking. I'm like, I'll see a styrofoam cup somewhere, and then I'll be like, oh, you poor thing, you had so much potential. You could have done good things, blah 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 blah. But that cat at the end of the book where she's like, she's not coming back. You're not ever gonna see her again. I was like, oh my god, this is going a little too hard. And I was just being super emotional about that, but I was like, oh, it's okay. And I thought the books were all right. The first one didn't make any sense, where she's just like, oh, he knew that he would send me water if he knew I needed water. He's just telling me to go on a little further. That didn't make any sense. What are you going on about? Calm down, girl. You're not reading somebody's mind. Just keep on going. That doesn't make no sense. Divergent. The movies were so, they weren't good. It was just like not good. I was just not into it. I was a teenager at the same time that they were coming out, but I was a young teenager. And then it's like, I feel like I missed the point where all these crazy people with the crazy hair, the weird shoes, the like ripped up clothes and stuff. I didn't get to be a part of any of that because I was just a little bit too young. I was still in elementary school. Why couldn't y'all just waited a little longer so that I could have just showed up with some purple hair? I'm gonna go on a little bit out of the way. There's this book that you're supposed to read when you're in like 8th grade. Every freaking English teacher is like, this is a good book, this is bomb. There's a lot of books like that I didn't really like. Okay. This is just gonna be for like specific people. The Giver was not good. The movie was not good. I know it's a trilogy, but I don't want to get bothered by going through and actually finishing it out because I feel like it's not gonna matter. It might end up being like okay, but like from like what I remember, it was boring and it took forever to go through and oh my god. And also, The Outsiders. They just let him tell a story. Just like don't go through. Quit reading into everything so much. I freaking hated going through and getting a book and then just being like, what is the deeper meaning? The deeper meaning of what? Just let me. Just like okay, come on, next. Just go on, because oh my god, I'll look way too into something all the time for everything, but I'm not gonna sit there be like, why did he tell him to be golden? I don't care. Just actually tell me what you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Just go on, next. And also, those are my kind of books. They were boring. And I remember this one about this kid. It was like the racial thing where he's like, he'll go off and he has no family or something and he finds this baseball stadium and he just lives there with this old baseball coach person or something. And I don't know. I don't remember the rest of it. That's all I remember off of it. But they were just all over the place all the time. But let me just like set my case up for this one because I was such a nerd. I was so, oh my god. I was awful. I just wore hoodies all day. I freaking had a little turtle necklace because I'd just sit there and fiddle with it. I'd be all nervous about everything. I had no self-esteem. But I just sat there and I see this book and you have an AR goal and I'm like, holy crap, this book is worth 20 points. So I picked it up and I was like, oh, I don't really like this cover. It looks really weird. So I'd have something over it the entire time I'm reading it because it looked really cringy. So there's this guy and he's just glowing green and he's shirtless and he's blonde and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good. So I took the cover off of it and the sleeve. And I don't even know if this is that book. I guess I never returned it. But it was worth 20 whole points. Oh my god, and you have to put in the quiz numbers and everything. I don't even know if people still do that because apparently people can't read anymore. But I was nuts. I had this big old backpack and I would carry around 3 of these books of the series and of another series of anything. I had like Lovely Bones in it and it's like a whole bunch of other just like what's it called? Young adult books. Because I was like, well, I'm in 4th grade, but I'm going to sit and read the older stuff because I am mature. Let's push glasses up. I don't wear my glasses when I'm supposed to. I am extremely nearsighted, but I had these. They were taking up my whole backpack. I carried around math books and everything, and my back would hurt every day. I weighed my backpack, and it was 40 pounds. And I just shoved everything in there. I was like, you never know. I was just freaking brushes and everything, some deodorant and everything. It was like 7th grade. I'm like, God, my back hurts. And then I would set it down. It would make the bleachers shake. But I got this book, and I was like, oh, okay, I've got there. And then I'm like, this is kind of boring. Just go on, blah, blah, blah. And then every single time. So here's the problem. Like, you can read that. upside down. Maybe it's reversed whenever I go back through. This is City of Bones. This is the Mortal Instruments books. There's like 8 or 9 or 10 of these, and I'm pretty sure it ends with Heavenly Fire or Fallen Angel. But I read every single one of these. These are the first series that I've seen of this lady, and I was like, I got through and I got to book 3, and I was like, this is pretty good. And I feel like these are all written and done with way before my time, where it's like they still had flip phones and stuff. But in like 5th grade, I blasted through like this entire series, and I was like, oh, it's so much. And I would be so mad because as soon as this is weird. She wrote it kind of weird, but also like I was a teenager, so everything, it doesn't matter if it makes sense, because obviously a 15-year-old is going to save the world. Because you know what, like as 20s, I get up and I freaking sleep the wrong way. I'm out of commission. I would not be doing anything. I would just be letting everything go, be like, man, my back hurts. Like I really don't feel like doing this. But like when I was freaking young, I'd be running around. Yeah, my kid's over here just shaking her head. She's like, nah, we ain't doing that. But going back and reading anything, I'm just like, nah, they're not teenagers. They're like in their mid-20s. Because I gotta change it. I'm like, I feel kind of weird reading like teenage love novels. I'm like, y'all a little too young, but it could be so serious. But it was whenever I was that age. Don't steal my tripod, girl. She's looking at me all evil. She's like, no, but I want it. It's pink and it's pretty and it's cool. Yeah, just nod your head. But this was my when I was that age. I would be so upset. This is the awkward part. Whenever they found out that they might be related or not, but they thought that they were because one of them's adopted in a very weird way and blah blah blah. But she instantly started to act like she lost all interest and everything. I'm like, how dare you? Because he was still all flustered and everything, and he was trying everything he could, even though he's like the big old masculine guy who's just so not into emotions and everything. He's just over there just like, but I love you. And she's like, no. And she just lost interest and everything. But then she actually ends up actually freaking kissing her brother, and she gets made fun of it in the next book by her friend. And it was weird because every single time the author brought out somebody new, and I was like, yeah, y'all be so good together. I hope y'all get together. What? They're related? Again? What are you doing? This, oh my gosh. That's why I wouldn't go out with anybody in my school, because we were all native and we're all cousins. And I'm like, I'm not gonna risk that. I don't know your background. We're all brothers and sisters, I guess. We're all cousins, so like, bye. But it's annoying. But let me just go through. I'm a parent now, so I'm thinking about it, and I'm going back, and I'm just having all these existential crisis like thoughts and stuff. And the end of the book, it ends with the evil brother, and she takes him out, and then it goes through, and she's just imagining how everything would be if her dad didn't ruin him and everything. And I was sitting there thinking, on the mom's end, that she wasn't there when her kid was taken out. She was never around for him, and I was like, I couldn't do that. If that was my kid, I'd want to be there. She should have wrote in a redeeming area where it's like that sword burned out all the evil of everything, just like it did for James. And I just like, I wish that she put in where he's like sitting there just like Nathan, because she done it twice. Do it for this guy too. Save him. He like pretend that he wasn't actually all that bad. He was just corrupted by his parents, by his dad, who was actually the evil one the entire time. But I was just sitting there thinking, I was so mad because the mom didn't get any closure off of it, and I would be so upset because she should have wrote such a freaking heartbreaking part where the mom goes back and she's there and she sees them and is like, well, they're all in hell, so this is the end, this is everything, and he's trying to take over, blah 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 blah. But like, where's the redemption? This is the one time where it'd be okay, where I don't need a villain just to be a villain, because I feel like he deserved better. He was only like 17, 18. I'm like, what the heck? I know there's like some really crappy people around who's pretty young, but oh my god. I was just thinking too hard about it, and I was like, oh, but the mom didn't say goodbye. Oh, she didn't get to see her baby off. And I was like, getting all emotional over that. And I never think about it so hard, but oh my god, I texted my sister and I was a mess. Because she hasn't even finished the series yet, because she's stalling. I've been bullying her into reading these for a really long time because she's stubborn and she stalls and she goes and heats up cups of coffee, and then the coffee gets cold and she heats it up again, and she goes and finishes the laundry and does something else and walks the dog, and it never gets done. Oh my gosh. So I finished off this, I don't want to hold you all time. I finished off this series. She's like, oh wow, camera, oh pictures. Oh my gosh. She don't look like my baby. She just looks like I stole her. She looked just like her daddy. But I finished off this whole series and I was like, well, I don't, my actual fear was, I've spent so much time here, and these are my favorite books ever. Nothing could be better than these ones. And I was freaking out, and I was like, I don't want to read anything and find something actually better, because then it'll spoil these for me, because... But somewhere I went through and started reading the Shadowhunter Academy, and it was okay, it was alright. The only portion that I was... that I think that it was actually in this one, where he goes through and there's a tower that's just famous for being super tilted and everything's just messed up, and he goes over and waves it, and my battery's dying. Let me get my charger. Don't do it, no. Okay, I save you. But he goes and waves his hand, and he realigns the entire building, and you hear everybody in the building scream because it just moved, and he just walks away like nothing happened. And then the other guy who's actually going to the school, he goes up to it and he's like, I feel like that building was a little bit more crooked, and he's just sitting there like, no, what are you talking about? And it's freaking crazy. Like, that's funny. Like, I was sitting in class, I was going, it's like, you don't expect that. Come here, let me hold you because you're going to keep throwing fits. She keeps stealing this little piece of cloth. It was a duck costume, but she's like, oh, soft blanket, yes, please. Hand hurts. Oh, so cute. Thank you, baby. Oh, some more, baby. But I read these. I read the Shadowhunter Academy, and I guess there's another one. Like, she made the actual rule book that's talked about in the book a lot. But, like, don't get me started. I'm gonna get myself started. But these ones hurt my feelings because I went through, and the first chapter is them just walking around, and they find this girl, and she's like, they're like trying to figure out what happened to her, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is boring. Why is it starting off boring? Why is it starting off so slow? And then I left it for like a month, and then I was like, I can't just leave this book unfinished. I have to finish it even if it's boring. So I went through and I started getting into it, and then I'm like, this is like, I'm so worried about going back and actually using my adult eyes to go and read this because it was so nostalgic, and I feel like this is just the best book ever, and I'm worried about going back and rewatching everything. Like any movie that you've seen a long time ago, you rewatch it older, you're like, this actually sucked. I don't want to do that. I want to just like sit here in my nostalgia and be like, this is the greatest thing ever. Right out there. I don't want to ever get to talk this much, but listen, my sister and I'm not done reading these yet, so now I'm going to bully you into reading it because, oh my god, I feel like there's actually a whole lot of people, but also, this isn't the one, but in the original, like, the illustration, the front cover of the other first book where she's standing and she's holding a book or something, that's the dress, like, that is my dream dress. I'm like, I know it wouldn't look good, but I'm like, man, I really wish that I was her. And I'm all jealous and stuff, and there's nothing, this isn't as popular as anything else. I feel like everything that I get into isn't really as popular as everything else. I can't find anything about it because you know how much I would love, because I bought her necklace. I have a little copy of her little angel, and it just has a little black band on it. And I was like, oh my god, this is so nice. And I'm freaking out because I love these books still. This is my shit. This is it. Like, these are the best books. This is my favorite series. Like, you have to actually go through and read the entire thing because you'll skip around and find people that you have no idea where they came from, don't know who they are. I don't know who this one random lady is who's like a witch, and she shows up in the first book and all of a sudden she fixes everything. But this was my jam. This was it. I can't like freak out enough about it because like this like little 1,000 pages. No, this like 1,500 pages. Oh my god, I was hooked. I was in high school in the peak era where I'm like, this is going to hurt my feelings, and I know it did. And then I'm just like, because I freak out so much, because, okay, Will. And then I say name Jem because it's Jem, and then it's freaking Teresa. I almost named her Teresa, but I'm like, that's a little bit too old of a name, so I named her Sophie. And then I named my other kid Lucas. Because my husband likes Star Wars and I like these books, so we compromised. So, Will, he's a tortured soul, and he has this curse on him, and he can't have anybody love him. Anyone who loves him will die a horrible death. And so he goes on his entire life thinking that nobody around him loves him, and he just spends his entire time of everything trying to make everybody hate him, not knowing that they actually care a lot, and blah, blah, blah. And then he finds this girl, and he saves her from this area, and they have to keep her away from this guy because he's going around killing a lot of people, and it just gets so deep. And then, like, she gets engaged to this guy because they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do. She thinks that she's just gonna go and move out with the girlfriend who is in the same place. Her name is Jasmine, but it's spelled Jessamine. So my entire time reading it, I was like, Jessamine frowned and said, why is my nose so big? So they get engaged, and then this guy meets up with this guy, and they find out he's not actually cursed, so it's raining, and he hauls ass back home, and he's like, I gotta tell her I love her. And then by the time they get there, because this guy is just slowly dying from a lot, because he got tortured by a demon or something, and that's why he's at the institute for whatever reason. Oh my god, and by the time they get there, she actually does care about him. And I'm like, oh my god, because every time that she'd go and change who she's like, actually, I really care about James. And I'm like, yeah, you go for him, girl. And then she's like, but I actually like Will. And I'm like, yeah, you go for him, girl. Because whoever she was sitting there being like, I love him. I was like, yes, you do. I was just like, I support you, girl. You change your mind? Okay. It's not like I've had one favorite, but then at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, you belong with him. Oh my gosh. And okay. And he's like, I love you. I was cursed. Anybody that I thought loved me. And at this time, I thought that there might be a chance. And it was so much. And she's like, I can't. I'm engaged. It's so much. Oh my God. And my sister won't read it, so I can't freak out with her. So, girl, you don't even know about it. This tea is freaking hot. I'll tell you, you can't tell nobody, but you go and tell everybody because I freaking love these books. They're like, ah. This is gonna be so much. This is already just 20 minutes of me just being like, ah. You need to go dance, Maya. You go play. Don't be yelling at me. I'm getting in trouble. My phone died because I'm yapping too much. But listen, let me look it up before, like after I press go. Hold on. So this is the part. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's supposed to be set in the 1878 and okay, hold on. I'm looking for the actual, where is it? There's like barely anything. Okay, but like the whole thing is, come on, where are you? Because I'm gonna have, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to start reading this entire thing. But the whole thing is, she talks about having to leave, having to go live elsewhere, blah, 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 and he doesn't want her to go. This guy. This isn't how I imagine he looked like. Like, no, I don't think that's what he looks like. If you're an author, no. I'm imagining, like, short, spiky hair, whatever. But he's like, oh, no, well, you could just stay with us, blah, 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 because we can't find this guy. And he's like, well, I don't want you to leave. Why don't you stay here? She says, oh, I don't want you to do that just for me. You've already done too much. He's like, no, you don't understand. I actually like you. And he's like, or as long as my heart will beat, as long as blah, blah, blah. And he's telling her, I'm so much healthier now with you around. And she believes it because he's taking more of that stuff that he's got a problem with that's keeping him alive but also killing him. And he just says it in such a way. And I'm like, oh my God, because I have a screenshot somewhere. I don't know where it is. But he was so cute, and it was so nice, and I'm like, oh my God, I wish somebody would like me that much, because like, as I was currently 16, 17, I'm like, dang, oh my, I haven't found him yet, someone to freak out over me that much. Where are you at, come on, because I have teeny tiny little screenshots of just, oh, I don't know where it is. I really wish I could find it, but let me just, hold on, I want to look for it. I found it, hold on. Oh my gosh. This whole thing. She says, you've already been as nice as is allowed, and you're giving me a place to live, and you'll find a place. He says, your place is with me. She said, what? And he's like, will you do the honor of becoming my wife? And she's like, and she freaks out. And he's like, that's not a no, but it's not a yes. And she's like, you don't mean that. He said, I do. And she said, you can't, they'll expel you. And he's like, we're a special case. They don't know what you are, they don't know what we are, but they can't condemn it right now. And then it's not forbidden. And she was like, oh my God, he is serious. And he's like, I can't let you sacrifice that much. And he's like, what? I love you. I want to marry you. And she's just still not believing. Oh my God. And then reading this the first time, I was like, oh shoot, oh my God. And I was really freaking out for them. And then he's like, he has this special ring that he got from his family. And then he offers it to her, and he's like, it was my mom's ring. Oh my gosh. This is why you gotta read it, because oh my gosh. And he said, he kneeled so that he was looking up to her face. She saw him had become, oh my gosh. I can't explain it. He said, I could not tell you if I loved you the first moment I saw you, or if it was the second or third or fourth, but I remember the first moment I looked at you walking towards me and realized that somehow the rest of the world seemed to vanish when I was with you, that you were the center of everything I did and felt and thought. Let me skip some. You speak of sacrifice, but it's not my sacrifice I offer, it's yours. I can offer you my life, but it is a short life. I can offer you my heart, though I have no idea how many more beats it shall sustain. But I love you enough to hope that you will not care that I am being selfish and trying to make the rest of my life, whatever its length, happy by spending it with you. oh my gosh. And then she talks about how it just looked like he was so broken and so vulnerable, and I'm like, yes, I'm so jealous of you. And then and then she says yeah, and then like not even like 10 pages later, it's probably a couple chapters away, but he shows up, his friend, where's it at? Yeah, this guy shows up, and he figures out I'm not actually cursed, I love you. And he just runs in and he kisses her, and she's like, what are you doing? And then she just doesn't have the guts to go tell the other guy that it's off or anything. And she's like, well, would you even love me if I broke his heart? And he's like, well, he would understand. She says, yes, he'd understand, but he wouldn't be the same anymore if I go and give him this ring back. And I'm just sitting there, like, freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I'm like that. Yeah, you understand. But I'm freaking out so hard, and I don't know anybody else who's read these books and anybody else who has enjoyed them as much, and my sister is taking forever to read them, because I need somebody else to freak out with me, because it's crazy, because at the end of it, this guy, he gets so sick that, like, he's not gonna make it, and then this girl, she's captured, and she's gone, and then he sends off his friend to go save her. He tells him that he knows that he loves her, and then that's why he will save her. And then he sits there, and he dies, but he doesn't really. He just goes up and he has to condemn the rest of his life to serving the clave and everything and blah blah blah. So he only has to leave to be a part of their brotherhood's stuff. So this guy, he finds her, and she's in this mountain cave somewhere in his hometown of Wales. It's not a town, it's a somewhere, don't shoot me for it. But that's where he's from, and that's where the guy hides, because he's also been in cahoots with his family, keeping his family afloat. I forget why. Oh my gosh. But, like, he saves her, and then they're just all sad about the other guy because they both think that he died, even though he didn't, but they don't know it. And then he shows up and he helps them fight. And then he tells them, I have to go. But later on, like, they just, it's so much. But it goes through, and then it ends in this last book where she turns into the angel and she sets it free, and she kills the evil guy. I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble for saying anything. Like, my gosh. And then I found a little bit of the other ones with the other guy. And I gotta scroll all the way back up. Scroll. Let me get back to it. Where it's the end of the last book, and they're somewhere, and they just got done arguing their case about, like, who was in the wrong and everything. Stop, Maya! This thing is driving me crazy. Stop. She just comes over, turns it on, and leaves it. Where are you at? Where are you? And then it's just, I freak out so much over this. And I can't really explain it. It was just, I was such a fangirl. And it was like, oh, I actually found out that I'm actually related to this old guy who is actually crazy, and he took a lot of spoils of war and everything, and I don't really like him, but I could be Tessa Starkweather. And he's like, well, of course you can have a true Shadow Hunter name. You can have mine. And she looks at him, and he's like, your name, and then he steps towards her. Just read. Your name. Will took a step towards her till they stood face to face. Then he reached to take her hand and slid off her glove, which he put in his pocket. He held her bare hand in his fingers curved around hers. His hands were warm and calloused, and his touch made her shiver. His eyes were steady blue. They were everything that Will was, true and tender, sharp and witty, loving and kind. Marry me, he said. Marry me, Tess. Marry me, and be called Tessa Hirondelle, or be called Tessa Gray, or be whatever you wish to call yourself. But marry me and stay with me and never leave me. I cannot bear another day of my life to go by that doesn't have you in it. And then she says yes. And then it has an epilogue of a very sped up version of their life where he has a battle with the pond ducks, and he actually lives a really old life and everything. And it's so sad. Because why did she do this to me? And where's it at? Because, like, it ends off with, no, I don't want to go to that. And I have no idea who Tatiana is, but she comes up a lot. Where is it? But it just brings up how she can't cooperate. She can't handle not having him, and she's still reaching over to his side of the bed and everything. And it's so sad. It's crazy because, like, her family never gets a break, because actually going into it, her kids and her grandkids, and somehow she's related to, what's his name? Oh my gosh. His name is John, but it's not John. Jace. Like, that's actually somehow her great-grandchild, because his mom was put together with his adopted dad, who was trying to breed perfect fighters and everything. But I'm like, oh my god! And she actually ends up being immortal, and then later on, in, like, the end of this series, somehow, like, the Jace guy, he got fire in him, and then he goes everything, and then Jem is next to him, and he gets hit with it, and so he has to go through this whole thing where it clears him of all the sickness and everything, and she doesn't know it yet, and they meet up on the same bridge in London every year, every few years or so often, and she sees him, and he's normal, and he's human again, and they don't have to fight anymore, and then they end up together way later, like in the 2000s. So she was married to this guy in the 18 going on 1900s, and then like 170 years later, that other guy, he's like, I still love you, and then they get together, and then as far as I heard, is she ends up getting sick from something that affects only like long-living immortal people, and I haven't seen anything about that. Like, I don't know if it's true or if it's just a lie about that being written. But oh my god, I wish that I could just be like, because I freaking love these books so much, and actually going through and reading them. Because the whole thing that brought this up is I was just watching videos, and they're like, I want them to have a slow burn of like 40% I hate you, and then 10% and then 9% or whatever of I actually like you, and then the end of the 1% of the book being like, I love you, we're together. Because I don't want all the crazy stuff. I want them to be like, my heart hurts when I'm not with you. I need you in my life. We're not complete. And I just, the dramatic, not the, oh, you're a vampire? Wow. So you are super fast and super strong? No. I want to be like, oh, you're a tortured soul. You think nobody cares about you, but I care about you. And everybody cares about you. What's going on? You deserve the love. But oh my god. I feel like I'll go back and reread these books. And I just hope that they stick up, because if I go and reread it and it ruins it for me, I'm gonna be so mad at myself. Because the nostalgia is there. But I freaking love these books. They're so good. This is gonna be the longest thing ever. I'm not gonna edit nothing. I'm just gonna throw it all together and throw it up there for anybody who happens to also love these books. But God, I would freak out about these so much. But like, I'm gonna keep on going on. Unless I just I'm going on too much. But if you freak out about these books, I need to hear you screaming somewhere. Because I haven't found anybody else who enjoyed these as much as I do. I need these to be also your favorite book series. Don't compare it to nothing else. But then also, I read this one. It was so long. It took forever. It was okay. And then I got into this one, and the main guy, he's like, I know, it's for, like, because he can't handle nothing, everything's going wrong, and he's like, took a potion of, I don't care for you no more. I'm like, how dare you, you selfish bitch. She loves you, too. Oh my gosh. But I still haven't finished this one. I have no idea where I left. Oh, there it is. What is this? Is this just a random receipt? This is probably my... where did you at? 12. I left off because I stopped reading this because it just made me a little bit mad. What are you? You're a receipt for a pink hoodie. I didn't get past 150. 156, but like I have to go. My sister liked this book, but I'm not crazy about it. Maya! Oh my god, but if you freaking like the books, let me know, because I freaking love these books. And, I'm talking on too much.